Let me be blunt. The grid isn't just fragile, it's dying. We had over 25 major power outages in the U.S. in the past 12 months alone, double the number from just a decade ago. Wildfires, cyber attacks, winter storms, overloaded transformers, it doesn't matter how it starts. The result is the same. Total darkness, total silence, and total chaos. And here's the terrifying part. 92% of Americans say they're not prepared for a blackout lasting more than 72 hours. But you're not going to be one of them. Because today I'm showing you the 15 blackout supplies that 99% of people don't have, but absolutely need. Not flashlights, not canned beans. I'm talking about high-impact, low-visibility tools that change everything when the grid goes down. These are the difference between scrambling and leading, between panic and control. Let's get into it. 15. Faraday bags for phones and radios. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually thought about the sun frying your phone? Probably never, right? But here's the ugly truth. Solar storms, EMPs, and even localized electrical surges caused by nearby transformer explosions can instantly kill your electronics. We're talking no warning, no recovery, no backups. Just gone. Here's a stat that should give you chills. The Congressional EMP Commission reported that a high-altitude EMP could disable electronics across 70% of the U.S. grid. Think about that. Your power bank? Dead. Your radios? Toast. Your phone? Your solar generator? Even that emergency lighting system you bought last Christmas? Fried in a millisecond. That's why Faraday bags are no longer optional. They're essential. These specialized pouches block electromagnetic fields, preventing damage to sensitive devices during solar events or EMP attacks. The Department of Homeland Security has even updated their guidance as of 2024 to recommend EMP protection for critical communication gear. I keep my emergency phone, my backup USB drive, a small hand crank radio, and even a second power bank in Faraday bags at all times. They cost less than a tank of gas and could be the difference between communication or total isolation. And no, that metal toolbox or microwave trick you've heard online doesn't cut it. Proper Faraday bags are tested to meet military shielding standards, MIL B81705, if you want to nerd out. These aren't tinfoil gimmicks. They're science, and they weigh almost nothing. Toss one in your bug-out bag and forget about it. But when the day comes, and it will, you'll thank yourself for protecting your lifeline to the world. 14. Rechargeable hearing protection with ambient mics. Okay, this one sounds niche, but I promise you it's not. When you think of blackout supplies, hearing protection probably isn't even on your radar. But let me tell you what actually happens in extended grid failures. Noise goes through the roof. Generators humming, neighbors panicking, dogs barking, sirens wailing, helicopters circling, and the psychological toll is real. During Hurricane Ida, PTSD symptoms spiked 28% in neighborhoods with constant generator noise. But here's the twist. You can't just block out sound completely. You still need to hear if someone's at your door, or if that crash outside was a falling tree or a looter. That's where electronic hearing protection with ambient mic pass-through becomes an absolute game changer. The same tech used by SWAT teams and hunters is now affordable and practical for home use. Brands like Walker's Razor and Howard Light make rechargeable hearing muffs that dampen loud noise, like that 75 dB generator right outside your window, but still let you hear voices and movement nearby in real time. Some even amplify whispers and footsteps while filtering out dangerous sound levels. It's tactical advantage. Plus sanity protection in one. During last year's summer blackout, I used mine nightly. I could sleep despite my neighbor's 7,000-watt diesel beast rattling my windows, and I still heard my toddler cry 2 rooms away. Pro tip: choose a model with USB-C charging. That way, one power bank supports your lights and your hearing gear. Sounds extreme? Maybe. But try sleeping while your entire block sounds like a construction site for 4 nights straight. Or worse, miss the sound of someone creeping up your driveway. Blackouts are noisy, chaotic, and stressful. This one item protects your peace and your perimeter. 13. I'll be honest, this next one seems absurdly simple, until it saves your mind during a 4-day grid failure. Mechanical timers. Not the digital kind. Not the ones that need batteries or phone apps. I'm talking about old-school wind-up kitchen timers, because here's what no one prepares for. Time distortion. When everything's dark, when your Wi-Fi's dead, your phone's at 8%, and even your watch feels out of sync, time collapses. 1 hour feels like 6. You start boiling water and forget how long it's been. You promise your kid you'll check on the lanterns in 15 minutes, and it turns into an hour. This isn't theory. This is what psychologists call temporal disorientation, and it's been documented in disaster zones repeatedly. After the 2023 California blackouts, FEMA conducted post-event surveys and found that 63% of people lost track of time and routines after just 48 hours without power. That matters more than you think. Blackouts become dangerous not just because of cold or hunger, but because you lose structure. Your entire day collapses into vague chunks of darkness and anxiety. That's where mechanical timers come in. They create anchors. Boil water for 10 minutes? Tick. Rotate food from the cooler every 3 hours? Tick. Set a timer to remind your diabetic grandmother to take her insulin? Tick. You can even schedule turns for who checks the generator or charges the power banks. These little $6 wind-up timers suddenly become mission-critical for organizing a home without clocks. I bought 6 last year, 1 for each core task. They don't need electricity. They don't care if your phone dies. They just work. And during our last 72-hour outage, they kept our routine sane when everything else fell apart. Most people think survival means tools, fire, gear, but it also means keeping your mind sharp and your schedule functional. 12. All right, let's get uncomfortable for a second. What's your plan when the toilet paper runs out? I'm serious, you've probably got a few extra rolls stashed somewhere, maybe even a Costco pack if you're lucky. But let me tell you what happened during the early pandemic lockdowns. Grocery shelves were stripped bare of toilet paper within 72 hours across most major cities. That wasn't panic. That was a preview. Now imagine a week-long blackout in the middle of summer. No power, no running water, no TP. How do you stay clean? How do you avoid infections? The answer is something 99% of Americans haven't even thought about: a portable manual bidet. These aren't luxury items anymore. These are grid-down hygiene tools. For under $20, you can get a squeeze bottle bidet that uses pressure and water. No electricity, no batteries. During the 2023 heat wave in Arizona, emergency shelters reported a 41% increase in bacterial skin infections due to poor hygiene access. That's not just gross, it's dangerous. Cleanliness is directly tied to health resilience in emergencies. Bidets reduce skin irritation, prevent infections, and preserve dignity when supplies run dry. And here's the kicker: they save your water. Wiping uses 3x the water compared to a single stream cleaning. I tested this. In a controlled setup, I used less than 2 cups of water per use. Try matching that with TP and hand washing. And bidets? They weigh less than a pound, fit in your pack, and don't expire. I keep one in each bathroom and another in my car kit. Trust me, when you've been sweating through day 3 of a blackout and your wipes are gone, you'll wish you had one. Sanitation isn't luxury, it's survival. And this one tool changes the game entirely. 11. Analog cooking thermometers, because food poisoning will ruin your life. Let's say the grid's down, your fridge is dying, and you've got exactly 36 hours before all your meat becomes questionable. You bust out the butane stove, fire up that emergency chili you had frozen, and now you're not sure. Is it hot enough? Is it safe? Most people shrug and guess. But here's the problem. Guessing gets people killed. The CDC estimates that 48 million Americans get foodborne illness annually under normal conditions. Now imagine those numbers in a blackout, when sanitation is compromised, water's scarce, and ER access is limited. That's where a $7 analog cooking thermometer becomes a literal lifesaver. You don't need batteries. You don't need Wi-Fi. You just need to know if your food is safe to eat. The USDA recommends an internal temp of 165 degrees Fahrenheit to kill most foodborne pathogens. Anything less? You're rolling the dice. I keep one analog thermometer taped to the inside of my emergency pantry. During last summer's 96-hour outage, we cooked frozen chicken on a portable grill. The outside looked done, but the core was 127 degrees. Without the thermometer, we would have eaten it and potentially spent the next 3 days battling salmonella with zero access to a hospital. You need data in an emergency, not guesses, and it goes beyond meat. Thermometers let you monitor your cooler zones, test water temps for purification, and even gauge battery pack overheating if you're running DIY solar setups. Pro tip: wrap the handle in neon tape so it's easy to find in low light. In a crisis, tools you can trust without screens or software are gold. Most preppers overlook this. Don't be one of them. A $7 tool could keep your family out of the ER when it matters most. 10. Manual coffee brewing gear. Because morale is more fragile than you think. Now listen, I'm not saying coffee is as important as insulin, but I am saying this. When everything else is going wrong, that first hot cup of familiar comfort can flip your mental state from panic to control. Let me explain. During the 2022 Tennessee blackout, disaster mental health teams found that households with morale routines, things like journaling, board games, warm beverages, reported 58% lower psychological stress than those who didn't. Let that sink in. Comfort matters. And for tens of millions of us, coffee is that comfort. But guess what? Your Keurig doesn't work without power. Neither does your grinder, your drip machine, or your milk frother. That's why you need manual coffee gear. Start with a hand grinder. JavaPress and Hario make burr grinders that require zero electricity and take up almost no space. They give you fresh grounds from stored beans without waking up the whole house. Then add a pour-over cone or French press. I use a stainless steel pour-over cone that sits right on my thermos. Brews a cup in 4 minutes flat using just boiled water. No waste, no filters, no moving parts to break. Boil water with your emergency stove, grind by hand, and pour. That's it. I've literally brewed coffee in my car during an outage. Here's another benefit. Caffeine sharpens focus, boosts reaction time, and reduces fatigue. In a grid-down situation, that mental edge matters. And don't forget the emotional payoff. During our 2021 snowstorm blackout, I shared coffee with my neighbor who hadn't slept in 30 hours. His whole mood changed. Sometimes survival is about connection, not just calories. Get yourself a Blackout coffee setup. You'll use it more than you think, and when the lights go out, you'll feel like you've got this under control. 9. Reflective thermal curtains. Let me tell you something most folks don't realize until it's too late. Windows are your biggest liability during a blackout. In summer, they turn your home into a convection oven. In winter, they bleed every ounce of warmth like a knife wound. Your HVAC system? Useless. Your mini heater? Overwhelmed. Your problem? Poor insulation. And the solution almost nobody talks about? Reflective thermal curtains. These aren't regular blackout drapes. These are survival-grade, aluminum-coated, multi-layer thermal barriers that work both ways. They trap heat inside during cold outages and reflect solar radiation during summer blackouts. A 2023 study from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory showed homes with thermal window covers retained 58% more interior heat during winter outages and were 37% cooler in peak summer heat waves. That's not marketing fluff. That's measurable survival. I outfitted my windows with these after my first 24-hour freeze-induced outage, where I watched indoor temps plummet from 67 degrees Celsius to 48 degrees Celsius in less than 10 hours. That was with the windows closed. Reflective curtains stopped the bleeding. Bonus? They're dirt cheap, less than $30 a panel. You can buy off-the-shelf thermal drapes or go full DIY with Mylar emergency blankets and Velcro. I've done both. Pro tip: install magnetic hooks around the window frame for fast attachment without drilling. During a summer blackout last year, my downstairs stayed under 80 degrees while the outside climbed past 100. That gave me time. That bought me sleep. That kept my family from heat exhaustion. Want to take it up a notch? Combine thermal curtains with foam insulation panels or even rolled up towels at the base of windows. Heat management is not just comfort. It's a life-saving edge in grid-down scenarios. Most people freeze or roast inside their own homes. You won't, not if you've prepped your windows like armor. 8. Chemical light sticks. Because batteries are a trap. You probably think you've got lighting covered. Flashlights, headlamps, maybe a solar lantern or two. But what happens when everything needs charging and the sun hasn't shown its face in 48 hours? What happens when you're rationing batteries like medicine? Here's a solution so simple, it's criminal how overlooked it is. Chemical light sticks. Yes, glow sticks, but not the Halloween kind. I'm talking military-grade, 12-hour, cold-resistant, waterproof light sources that require zero power, zero prep, and never fail. The U.S. Navy still stocks these in survival kits for a reason. They don't leak, don't explode, don't catch fire, and don't lose brightness over time. And unlike flashlights that destroy your night vision and chew through batteries, chemical light sticks provide soft ambient glow, perfect for bedrooms, bathrooms, or hallways in total darkness. During the 2022 Texas freeze, a volunteer medical group used over 1,000 light sticks to safely mark patient triage zones in dark, powerless homes. Think about that. No cords, no bulbs, no charging. Just crack and glow. I stash them everywhere, one in every emergency drawer, several in the car, a box in the basement. They're dirt cheap in bulk. $15 gets you 10 sticks that last 5 years. Want to stretch them? Wrap tape around the middle to reduce glare. Want soft overhead lighting? Hang them from ceiling fans or tent poles. Want kid-friendly night lights? Boom, one glow stick. Bebak or 12 hours of comfort. Here's another thing. You can use different colors for zoning. Red for sleep areas, green for bathrooms, blue for supplies. In a true emergency, that kind of visual organization matters. Chemical light sticks are passive lighting. No stress. No charging anxiety. Just light when and where you need it. Quietly, safely, and instantly. 7. Cordless power tool batteries for blackout adaptation. Here's the wild part most people never consider. Your cordless drill might be more useful than your flashlight during a blackout. Not for drilling, but for power. Let me explain. Those lithium-ion battery packs you use for your power tools, they're basically modular power banks. And in a blackout, they become an entire second-tier energy system if you know how to use them. Brands like DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Ryobi have exploded in 2024, with ecosystem-compatible products that let you use tool batteries to power fans, LED floodlights, radios, even USB hubs. The Milwaukee M18 system now supports over 250 devices, including area lights that run for 20 hours straight on a single charge. I've personally powered a small refrigerator using two 5Ah DeWalt batteries and a portable inverter. We kept insulin cold for 36 hours without touching our main generator. These aren't just construction tools anymore. They're blackout tech. And the best part? These batteries charge fast with solar. I use a 100-watt foldable panel with a battery charger adapter, and I can top off 2 batteries in a single sunny afternoon. It's a game of redundancy. When everyone else is rationing fuel or watching their solar power banks crawl toward 10%, you're swapping in a fresh battery pack and running devices like it's no big deal. One extra genius. Use a power tool battery to charge other batteries. There are adapters now that turn your DeWalt battery into a charger station. That's circular backup right there. Most homes have a drill buried in the garage, but very few have realized that those battery packs are the Swiss Army knife of the blackout world. Stock extras. Label them. Rotate usage. Cordless tool batteries aren't just for fixing stuff, they're for powering your life when the grid walks off the job. 6. Fireproof document bags. Let me be blunt. When the power goes out and your house is in chaos, your phone isn't your backup anymore. Your cloud accounts, inaccessible. Your password manager, locked behind a dead battery. And those sensitive documents you swore you scanned into Google Drive last year, they might as well be in another dimension. You need physical documents protected from fire, water, and impact, and stored where you can grab them in 3 seconds flat. That's where Fireproof document bags come in. These are not glorified folders. They're made from dual-layer silicone-coated fiberglass, tested to withstand temperatures over 2,000 degrees, and certified waterproof up to several feet submerged. I use a combination of 2 bags, one larger one for 8.5x11 folders, and one small passport-sized pouch. Together, they hold birth certificates, medical records, prescriptions, property deeds, social security cards, vehicle titles, and even backup cash. A 2023 FEMA report revealed that 38% of families who experienced a natural disaster lost access to crucial documents, delaying insurance claims, aid applications, and medical care for weeks. That's not a paperwork issue. That's a survival bottleneck. You don't want to be digging through waterlogged file cabinets in the dark. I keep my bag next to my bug-out gear, clearly labeled. Pro tip: include physical copies of your insurance policies, an emergency contact list, pet vaccination records, and 3 printed photos of every family member. Sounds overkill? It's not. If you get separated or show up at an overwhelmed shelter with no ID and no proof, paper is power. Fireproof bags don't cost much, under $30 for top-rated models, and they give you peace of mind that your critical information survives the crisis right along with you. 5. Silica gel desicants. Now this one right here, I guarantee you almost no one has this in their prep kit, and it's criminal because it solves a silent threat most people don't even think about: moisture. Specifically, the kind of creeping, invisible humidity that kills electronics, clumps medicine, ruins batteries, and turns your pantry into a mildew festival. Enter the unsung hero of blackout preps: silica gel desiccants. These are the little packets you see in packaging, but I'm not talking about grabbing a few from an old shoebox. I'm talking industrial grade, color-changing, rechargeable silica packs that you deploy strategically in your blackout gear. Here's why they matter. When the power goes out, your climate control dies. Within hours, your home's humidity starts rising, especially during summer or wet seasons. And that moisture, it condenses inside everything: power banks, flashlights, radios, backup meds, dry food. A 2022 study from the University of Florida showed that ambient humidity levels above 60% significantly degrade lithium battery lifespan even when not in use. Translation: your carefully stored flashlight might be dead on arrival if moisture crept in. I toss desiccant packs in every equipment tote, battery drawer, and medicine kit. I even put one inside each pair of gloves and boots in my blackout bin because mildew doesn't wait. Bonus: they're cheap. $15 gets you a 20-pack of 5-gram bags with color indicators that tell you when they're saturated. You bake them dry in the oven and they're ready to go again. Zero waste. Pro move: vacuum seal them with emergency gear for maximum effect. Moisture is silent, slow, and unforgiving, but with silica packs in place, you're sealing off one of the most underestimated threats in any grid-down scenario. This is next-level prep, and once you use them, you'll never store gear the same way again. 4. Emergency air quality masks. Let's talk lungs. You've prepped food, you've got water filters, but what are you breathing when the grid goes down and wildfires sweep through, or your neighbor's generator is belching fumes 10 feet from your door? What's in your lungs when the city sewage system backs up and you're surrounded by methane, mold spores, or, God help you, a chemical spill? The answer for 99% of Americans is whatever the air gives me. And that's unacceptable. That's why every home needs a stockpile of emergency air quality masks. And I don't mean those cheap dust masks from the hardware aisle. I'm talking about NIOSH-approved N95, N99, or 100 masks, preferably with exhalation valves or silicone seals for comfort during prolonged wear. During the 2023 Canadian wildfires, air quality in multiple U.S. cities reached AQI levels above 400, hazardous for everyone, not just asthmatics. And during blackouts, HVAC systems shut down. You can't run air purifiers. You can't close yourself in with HEPA filtration. You're breathing whatever's in the air, good, bad, or downright toxic. I keep 3 types on hand: N95s for short-term use, reusable elastomeric half masks with 100 filters for long-term exposure, and child-sized N95s for the kids. I store them in a sealed bin with desiccant packs, see number 5, and rotate them annually. Here's what most people forget. Smoke travels miles. You don't need to be near a fire to suffer. Just being downwind is enough. Your power goes out, wildfires hit the grid, and suddenly you're choking in your own living room. One more thing. During civil unrest or chemical spills, the right mask buys you time to escape or shelter. FEMA now officially recommends having masks for each household member in your emergency kit. Don't rely on luck or the bargain bin. Stock real, proven respiratory protection, because if you can't breathe, you're done. Period. 3. Analog security systems. Most people assume that when the power goes out, the danger is the cold, the dark, or the spoiled food. But let me tell you, when the grid dies, law enforcement slows, and in some areas, it disappears altogether. During Hurricane Katrina, police response times stretched beyond 72 hours. In Texas 2021, hundreds of burglary attempts were logged during the 5-day grid collapse, many of them targeting homes with darkened exteriors and no visible surveillance. You know what stops that before it starts? Analog security systems. No apps, no Wi-Fi, no batteries, just simple, old-school deterrents that still work when everything else goes dead. Start with dummy cameras, the high-quality ones with blinking LEDs. $25 gets you a 4-pack that looks exactly like real surveillance. Add motion-activated solar lights. You can get ones that store 3 days of solar charge and trigger a 500-lumen burst if someone moves within 20 feet. No batteries to swap, no cords, just light when you need it. And here's the key piece almost no one thinks about: battery-free door, window alarms. These are tiny magnetic switches that scream at 100 decibels if a door or window is opened. No Wi-Fi required. I installed them on every entry point and they've gone off twice, both times from sketchy activity during regional outages. That shrieking alarm doesn't just alert you, it scares away the unprepared. I also keep portable door braces near every sleeping area. No installation needed, just jam under the knob and sleep better. Security doesn't need to be digital. It needs to be visible, noisy, and instant. Blackouts invite opportunists. But if your home lights up, screams, and looks watched, they'll move on to the quiet house next door. Don't let that be you. 2. Psychological operations. Kit. This is going to sound crazy, but I promise you it's more real than any bug-out bag. If you want to actually survive a multi-day blackout with your sanity intact, you need what I call a PsyOps kit. Not for fooling enemies, for stabilizing minds, yours and your family's. Let me explain. In psychology, there's something called sensory deprivation distress. When your environment goes dark, silent, and off routine, your brain starts to break down. You lose track of time. Your cortisol spikes. You stop eating, stop thinking clearly, and small disagreements turn into screaming matches. I've seen it. I've lived it. You need tools to anchor the mind. Here's what's in my kit. Crank music player with preloaded classical and ambient tracks. Music regulates the nervous system. Within 5 minutes of playing it during our last outage, my 5-year-old stopped crying and fell asleep. Battery-powered white noise machine. During a 3-day storm blackout, I ran this in the hallway at night. Covered up outside noise. Everyone slept better. Books and printed games. Not digital, paper. I have a binder of Sudoku, word finds, trivia, and kids' stories. These turn powerless hours into manageable chunks. Scented candles, specifically calming scents like lavender and vanilla. Sounds silly, right? But studies show certain scents lower anxiety by 40% or more. Fidget tools. Putty, stress balls, coloring books. They redirect panic energy and give your hands something to do when the mind spirals. Tiny journal kits with pens and prompts. Writing helps process fear and creates memory during crisis. I found entries from our first blackout that brought me to tears. They were proof we got through it. A PsyOps kit isn't soft. It's hardwired. Psychology for resilience. Food keeps you alive. Power keeps you functioning. But morale, that's what keeps you human in the dark. 1. The Blackout Battle Box. This is it. Number 1. The single most important thing I own for blackout survival, and I guarantee you 99.9% of Americans don't have one. I call it the Blackout Battle Box. It's not a toolkit, not a bin of scattered supplies. This is a dedicated, rapid-deployed command center that turns chaos into control in under 60 seconds. Here's what it is. A waterproof, fire-resistant, hard-sided storage case about the size of a small carry-on that sits ready, visible, and untouched until the moment the grid fails. And inside, only the first 12 hours of dominance. Here's what's packed in mine. A fully charged power bank, solar-compatible with USB cables for every device in the house. Headlamp and lantern with lithium batteries and red light mode. AM/FM, no AA crank radio. 2 emergency blankets, a mini med kit, and prescription backup cards. 1 freeze-dried meal and water purification tabs. Manual timer, yes, from earlier, tells us when to rotate freezer packs or dose medicine. Photocopies of ID, insurance, home floor plan, and emergency numbers. A $50 cash roll in small bills. Printed blackout checklist with prioritized actions. Water shutoff, generator start, window sealing, neighbor check-in, extra glasses, a whistle, a lighter, and a USB fan for heat emergencies. It's not everything. It's the first wave. It's speed, clarity, and confidence when everything else is spinning. I designed mine after watching friends fumble through drawers, yelling at each other in pitch black because no one knew where the batteries were. Those first minutes of a blackout, they set the tone. You either command the moment or react like a deer in the headlights. Build your blackout battle box. Label it. Store it where everyone in your home can find it in 5 seconds. Then sleep a little easier. Because when the grid fails, and it will, you won't be scrambling. You'll be leading. There's no more excuse. You've seen the 15. You've seen the data. You know the truth. The grid isn't reliable. The government won't save you. And comfort, that disappears faster than cell service when the lights go out. But now you're ahead of 99% of the country. Most people will still think a flashlight and a few cans of soup make them prepared. You've got strategies, layers, systems. You're not hoping things get better. You're planning for when they don't. Because the next blackout won't give you a warning. It never does. And when your neighbors are in the dark, cold, and waiting for someone else to fix it, you'll already be 2 steps ahead. Warm, fed, powered, calm. So don't wait until the sirens start blaring or the sky goes black. Start with one item, then the next. Build slow, build smart, build now. Preparedness isn't paranoia. It's peace of mind. If this gave you a wake-up call, hit that like button. Share it with someone who still thinks the grid will hold, and let me know in the comments. Which one of the 15 are you getting first? Stay sharp. Stay ready. And when the lights go out, be the house that still shines.